All right, how's our sound going now? I think we've gotten everything fixed. We can get somebody in the chat to tell us whether you can hear us or not. Nothing like a rocky start, right? Everybody good?
I think we got a thumbs up.
Okay, perfect. So welcome to emergency management. We're going to try this again. So we've already gotten some practice with one time around, so we're going to go back around the table. My name is Chris Fincher. I am with emergency management, and I'm here talking about our Explorer team, our CERT Explorers. That's for youth that are ages 14 to 20. Thank you to Kat. She is our director today. She's behind the mixing board, so she's one of my Explorers. So that's my drop in. So we're going to go next to Lauren. Lauren, if you can tell us who you are and who you represent.
Yes, I'm Lauren Thacker. I'm the director at Harbor House. Harbor House is the Northwest Georgia Child Advocacy Center.
Oh, he'll be alone. I apologize. Oh, he'll be alone with Floyd County Police Department, and I work crimes against children.
Amber Lopez, Floyd County Police Department. I also work crimes against children.
Okay, so we are going to be answering your questions. So if you want to put those in the chat box, we're going to be chatting amongst ourselves, but whenever you do have questions, we're going to try to bring those up and answer the best we can. But for right now, we are going to talk about what exactly today means, because today is Safer Internet Day. It's an awareness day. Amber, if you can explain that to us again, now that we have sound, what is Safer Internet Day?
So Floyd County Police Department is part of the GBI ICAC task force, which is Internet Crimes Against Children. We've been with them since 2017, and Safer Internet Day is put on through GBI, and being part of the task force, we do participate in that as well. And it's just to make sure that we can spread and educate the public about internet safety. I know it changes daily, so trying to keep up with it can be difficult. So we do like to get out there and try to answer any questions for parents or guardians that have younger children coming up that's spending a lot more time online, just to make sure that we do keep the children in our community as safe as possible.
Okay. So the police department, if anybody has questions about any sort of activity online, they can come to you and answer those questions. It's not that somebody's going to go to jail every single time they come and ask you a question about something that's happening. You can help folks just with information and advice and that sort of thing. Am I understanding that right?
We definitely, if you do have any questions or concerns, you can always come by, talk to myself or Captain Long, and we would do our best to answer any questions that you may have, or just if you're having difficulties with navigating around an app that your child may use, we can definitely assist in that, as well as there's a website, NCMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, that also has a lot of great information. So if you just want to do a little browsing around to learn a little bit more, that's always a good place to start.
Okay. And Lauren, it's my understanding that at Harbor House you are starting a new initiative where if people have some concerns, they can reach out to you as well, right? Am I understanding that right?
That's exactly right. So I think sometimes it can be intimidating contacting law enforcement, or you may wonder, should I even involve law enforcement? Maybe I found something on my child's phone. And so we would encourage you to contact Harbor House. We can talk through that with you, and then we can help be the liaison between, what's going on with you and then with law enforcement, and walk you through that process, and then offer just individual support.
Okay. For the police department, what are some questions that parents most often ask y'all when they come in and they have a concern? What is a question that comes to mind sometimes?
Sometimes I don't think they know, and I think you touched on this a little bit. They don't know if it actually is something that's illegal, or they don't know what is going on maybe in messages or the communication that their child's receiving crosses that threshold of being legal or not. So I think that's what happens is a lot of people don't report because they're not sure. And like Amber said, always reach out and ask questions, bring them in, and we can look to see if there is something that maybe we can do on our end as a criminal investigation. Or even if we can't, we can always offer advice, talk to the children, whether young or older teens. And it's not always to get them in trouble, like you said. It's to educate and to make sure that they are being safe when they are online.
What are some of the problems that you're most often seeing whenever you're looking, you're talking to parents? What are some things that are most commonly coming in that attract your attention?
So a lot of the times it can be sending images, sending or receiving images, especially with teens. They can get into relationships in school, and at that point in time, they may think it is a good idea to take a picture and send it to their then, paramour. And then, of course, once they break up, then there's that concern about that being out there. There's also when someone is trying to get revenge on someone, they may share those images that were supposed to be private. And then, of course, we don't want those images out for everybody to see. There's also, when it comes to certain apps, strangers can reach out, and parents are concerned about the information their children share, because sometimes it could be where a kid might think it's something as simple as, well, it's just my address and they're my friend, and they'll send them personal information. Well, of course, that's not anything we want out there for strangers to have. So those are some of the concerns that we get from parents.
Okay. Why is it that kids are doing this? Is it because they feel like this is their one and true love and they're always going to be with them? Is that, and then, or what is the, and they're children, right?
They are children, and they probably, it's kind of unfortunately common. A lot of children do share pictures. It's a digital world. And it's not always, I shouldn't say in relationships, because sometimes it might be something shared with a friend, and you feel like a close connection to that person, that there wouldn't be any kind of betrayal of trust. And unfortunately, we do see occasionally that does happen. And being in such a digital world where a lot of people's entire lives are documented on social media, it can just seem, I guess, like a natural thing. Someone asks for a picture,
Yeah.
and it's not that big of a deal. I send a picture, they're not going to send it to anyone.
And most often you found that they are sending it to other people, right? And even when there's a breakup, things turn bad, right?
There is a possibility. There is always that chance that it can, unfortunately, turn bad, and they could send it to a group. A large group could get it. And one of the issues is even in a large group, maybe everyone in that group is not sharing the image, but it's very important for young people to understand, or even adults, even if you're not saving or sharing that image, just knowing that it's there and not reporting it or letting someone know, then that can be an issue as well.
Yeah.
And that is something we see, well, I didn't save or I didn't share the image, but I saw the images in this group chat, but it had nothing to do with me, so I left it alone.
Right. And there's criminal implications attached to that as well, from taking the picture and storing the picture, right? And then sharing the picture, from all three of those, right?
Yes. Yes, there can be, Captain, if you want to talk about the criminal, so I'm not taking all of the microphone time.
You're good. I was taking notes.
Okay.
So, as far as criminal, yes, there is a criminal charge, exploitation, if you are producing it, sharing it, saving it. There's even it's a misdemeanor charge where, if you, like a bystander, what you were talking about, if you come across some illegal image and you don't report it, then it could be failure to report, and that is illegal here in Georgia. So it's important to report, not just to be a bystander and things like that.
Some things that concern me are whenever a breakup occurs and then you've got a person with a picture, they start to share that and they start to make threats. But that can also occur if you meet a stranger online, right? What have y'all seen as far as that with stranger to stranger contact? When the stranger gets an image, what are some things that happen then? What are some?
So, sextortion is become a big issue right now, and that has a lot to do with people being online, people making friends online. It's not very uncommon to meet someone online and build a relationship with them, and then it could turn into something romantic, and they feel like they've built this romantic relationship, and then they ask for an image. And a lot of the times the victims of that's typically teenage boys. I believe the statistics were about 90% of sextortion cases are between 14 to 17-year-old males. And what happens at that point is they think it's a girl close to their age, and they're in a relationship with them, and they ask for videos or pictures. They send them. At that point, they start trying to extort money from them. So if you don't send $500, I'm going to release these images or these videos to your friends and family. I'm going to tag you. They're going to release them on your page. Everyone will see them. One of the main things to know is if that does happen, do not give them money. Do not send them any money. You need to immediately report it to the app. So if it's TikTok or Instagram, immediately report it so it can be taken down from that site. You can report it to law enforcement. And there's also a site through NCMEC, which is takeitdown.org, I believe. You can reach out and they will, they can go through, try to find the image and have it removed from the internet.
And we've also found that a lot of the offenders are usually overseas, right?
Yes.
So it ties our hands as far as how much we can do here as far as prosecution or charging somebody. But like Amber said, the take it down is important. You can report it there. Making a report with us, I think people have learned that our youth, they have credit cards, right? They have credit cards, they have debit cards, they have access to money, and that's part of the reason that we've become a target, and we've seen such a rise in those type cases. But if you are victim to that, or you know somebody that is victim to that, know that things do get better, and it's not. It used to be where it's out there and nothing can be done about it. Now there's this take it down where we can work together with NCMEC to work to get these images taken down because they do have that unique hash value, so they can be identified and removed from the internet.
So we are putting that address in the chat. So there's a couple of different take it downs. So I've got one that's attached to NCMEC.
NCMEC.
So that's take it down ncmec.org. That address is in the chat. So if you want to look at that, this applies to children and adults both. If there's something out there
Yes.
that you feel like you don't like, they will scour the internet and they'll try to take it down.
That's right.
Lauren, so at Harbor House, you're seeing the child and the victim side of it. What emotionally, when they come to you, what are some emotions that they're feeling whenever they come in with a case like this? What are you seeing in the children?
Well, I think it's common to feel helpless, especially when you're discussing pictures that are already out and they've already been distributed. And so I think it's important to remind children when they do come forward and maybe they've sent something, they think they're in trouble, or they're just fearing that it's out there. To offer that support, remind them that they're a victim in a situation, that when it is sextortion, they are a victim of something.
Right.
And to just, I think, validate the feelings that they have. And we're trying to also educate caregivers that we see that there are steps we can take to try to help. Just we were discussing about, the Take It Down apps. But I think it's important, too, that we have conversations with parents and, offer tips and advice on, what are we talking to our kids about? and hopefully having those open conversations in our homes of, have you ever been asked or pressured to send a picture before? If it's no, well, what would you do if you were asked?
Right.
You know, like start those conversations. Do you know about, a picture that has been distributed? You've seen it at school. How did that make you feel? Right? Like starting those conversations, educating our kids, but then also you are establishing, some guidelines and some, trying to think of the word, oversight really to what's happening in your home too. Because all of our kids, like Sergeant Lopez said, it's a digital age, it's a digital world, and so our kids are going to be attached to it, and so we need to be informed, and so we want to educate the caregivers that we see about
It's
that.
important we take care of our kids because these pictures can have negative effects not only on reputation and how you feel, but emotionally.
Yes.
It can be self-destructive for a child who may be a victim of this, right?
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
important to go and address it before something happens, right?
Right, that's right. And if something has happened, Harbor House is here to help offer therapy services. And so I would encourage anyone, if you feel like your child is struggling in that situation, to reach out for help. Our school counselors and social workers are also amazing. So just know that there are people that want to help and support your children
Good.
during that time.
So it sounds like Harbor House is the place to go if you really want answers or you need somewhere to go, right?
I hope so. Yeah.
Back to the police department. What is the conversation that you have with parents? What can parents be doing to be proactive in their home when it comes to their children and their tablets and their devices? What can parents be looking for?
So one of the biggest things I believe, especially with younger kids, is having a digital curfew. So a lot of people let their kids go to bed with an iPad or a phone. They're in their room, door closed typically, going to bed, and they just have unlimited access. As a parent, we're going to bed, we're getting ready, we're tucking ourselves in, the kids are in there, and at that point they just have unlimited access to search the internet. We could think they're going to bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock. They could be up on their phone till 1 or 2 in the morning. So I believe a digital curfew is a great idea, especially for the younger kids. I know some kids use their phone for an alarm if they use it to get up. Of course, we can get an alarm clock from Five Below if that is an issue. But a lot with the younger kids, I think parents wake the children up. So I think it's a good idea to have a spot in your home where they can charge the phone, whether it's in the kitchen, the living room, or if necessary, in the parents' room. So it can charge there overnight. When they get up in the morning, they can get the phone and they can search or answer any messages that they may have had. So I think that is a good thing. And also, if your children are using apps or online gaming, just make sure you're monitoring. A lot of the times kids are in there, they're playing video games, they may be in their room. Once again, parents are in there watching TV, are doing what they're doing throughout the day, and it's just kind of unlimited access to online gaming where individuals can reach out, and at that point a child may think, well, this is my friend, like I play games with him every day, this is my friend, we've been friends for 6 months. In all honesty, they know nothing about that individual that they're playing with other than the information given to them.
Right.
I do think it's also very important if a child does come to you as a parent, we have to be careful not to blame the child. They're already scared. They already know that they shouldn't have shared it, right? The last thing we want to do is just remind or tell them, what were you thinking? Why did you do this? At this point, it's done, so let's take steps to help rather than to blame the child, because ultimately they're the ones that were manipulated in a way to feel comfortable enough to share these pictures, right? They were possibly groomed and things like that. So it's important not even that you're doing it on purpose, but we end up blaming the victim. And there's already a lot of things they're dealing with.
Yeah. So y'all spoke last night at our SAFE class, and those of you who don't know that may be online, SAFE is a community preparedness class that we host once a month here at EMA. And Amber and O'Hilvia came and spoke last night, and kind of along that same thing, you were talking about the current trend with couples who want to FaceTime for 24 hours a day. Can you talk about some problems that come with that as far as, I don't want to jump to a domestic violence thing, but you're talking about constant access and stalking, but then there's also the tendency there, and you could also have the opportunity to get illicit pictures and videos during that time too, right? So, can y'all talk about that and just kind of the dangers and why you should not do that, and maybe monitor your kids to make sure they're not doing that all the time?
24-hour FaceTime.
So yes, it does. It can turn into a controlling situation where then they now expect it, and if you're not on FaceTime 24/7, then what are you doing? Who are you talking to? Where are you at? And that can definitely turn into unwanted behavior, and that can go both ways, right? From any party in that relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we spoke last night about location sharing. That's big. Of course, when it comes to a parent, your kids, you want to do location sharing to make sure they get to work okay or to school okay. But a lot of kids share the location with their friends, or they just leave their location active on Snapchat to where, anyone that quick ads can see where your kid is. So I think it's important to discuss the safety or the concerns about sharing your location. And as you were talking about kind of some unwanted things from being on FaceTime. So if you're on FaceTime 24/7, of course, we have to get ready for school. We have to take a shower. We have to get ready for bed. So you're thinking, well, this is just my friend or boyfriend, because it can be friends that I'm FaceTiming. Well, you're changing. Of course, there's the possibility that they're going to take screenshots,
record,
or they're going to screen record. Well, you don't even know. You just think I'm getting ready for bed or I'm getting ready to take a shower. You're not thinking about anything. But if there is an individual on the other that said, well, this is a perfect opportunity for me to get this picture, and then you don't even know it's out there. So it's definitely to talk to your kids and let them understand that we all need space as much as we like to be around each other. And I know Olivia loves to spend all her days with me, but she wants to go home and be away from me for a few hours, and I guess. But, it is important to have a little time away. And, whether you set rules as there's no phones at the dinner table, or you watch, you watch TV together in the evenings, or you play games, I think it's important to put some distance and have a little off time from devices.
When I was policing, you would talk to victims of domestic violence, and you would talk to them about how it's not acceptable for somebody to want to be around them all the time and constantly tracking them and following them, showing up at their work, being there at inappropriate times. And sometimes the tendency is, with your kids, you're like, oh, it's cute, it's just puppy love. But the same sort of principles apply, where you've got, it's constant attention, and it can be negative, like you were saying. So let's talk about some apps and things on your computers and even game systems, because it's not just texting, it's not just Snapchat and Facebook, but there's other ways out there where people can reach out and communicate, right? What are some of those other things that parents need to be looking at?
So, from my understanding, is I think only us old people text now. So most of the time, communications with kids is done through some kind of app. So, we have Snapchat, of course. Everybody knows Snapchat, and there's Instagram. Facebook is still there. I don't think many young people are on Facebook. But we have Meet Me is an app it's linked to Facebook. TikTok, of course, everyone's on TikTok. There is a messaging. There's a messaging component to TikTok and at that point, you can friend people on TikTok from anywhere. So that's just unlimited access to people that can send direct messages. Of course, there's Tinder, Kick Messenger, WhatsApp, and I think one of the main ones used for gaming would be Discord. And a lot of parents don't even realize their kids use Discord when they're on gamings, or when they are online gaming. A lot of parents, I'll say, well, does your child have a Discord account? They don't know what that is. They go look, they find a Discord. And as well as a lot of parents don't know of the For My Eyes Only feature in Snapchat. I do get that from parents. Well, I check my kid's phone. There's nothing on there. Have you checked there For My Eyes Only? Well, what's that? And then we go show them. And unfortunately, it could have a different password than their phone, the password that their parent knows about. We get that password, and then that's where images can be stored. So it's just important to do your research. Just get on, NCMEC, like I said, has a lot of tools, but you can just get on Google. What's the popular apps that kids are using, or popular apps for teens, or dating apps? It's always good just to try to keep up to date on those.
So don't stick your head in the sand and hope that your kids are doing the best that they can online.
That's right.
Yes, because they'll think, well, they have a Facebook, so, I monitor their Facebook. Well, like I said, most kids aren't using Facebook. They may talk to grandma or share some pictures with an aunt, but most of their communication's not going to be through Facebook.
So some other evidence and some other clues that your kids may be online and talking to somebody inappropriately is if you start to get things in the mail, things like that. Can you talk about that? Receiving gifts and
Yeah, we have
grooming?
seen that, yes. We've seen, as far as the gifts, we have seen children receive phones through the mail or other ways of communication, or just different types of gifts. And those definitely have to be questioned, right? Where are they coming from? How are they sending them to you? How do they know the address to send them to? And then grooming is something, we've seen it, that's something that goes along with these offenses, but we were not able to make charges until last year when the law changed. So now we're able to make those charges if we do see grooming behavior. We can, and that includes where maybe a subject is speaking to a child, making language that's sexual in nature maybe more common, or just to normalize that language or that behavior to when there is an offense that occurs, whether it's hands-on or online like we're talking today, it's become more normalized, so it's not as shocking to their system. So if we see those patterns, now we're able to make a charge.
You feel like things are getting better with all the proactive awareness that we've been doing? How do you feel just in general? I guess we'll start with Lauren. Do you think that things are going better now, or do you think, is this a daily battle that we're having to do? What are your thoughts on that as far as?
Yeah, so I think it's a daily battle, because I think the digital world is always changing. And, but I think the resources and the training that are now offered to law enforcement agencies, to nonprofit agencies, is increasing. And so I think we are becoming more educated in this field, but I think it's always going to be a problem, because I think it's always going to be changing.
Yeah. The internet is like going to a big city. You just can't, and not everything is private, everything is out in the open.
Right, yes.
You're having a conversation with somebody, the potential is there that a lot of people can see it.
Yes.
You're broadcasting to the world.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that? Y'all have any you think it's getting better? Are we making a dent as far as awareness goes?
Oh, I definitely think that we are making a dent as far as awareness goes, and we are seeing a rise in reports, but I also believe that that's coming because people are now more aware of what's out there. They know that they have resources. They know they can reach out. So, and kids are getting braver and braver by coming forward, because if something like this happens, it's a big deal. It's like you said, it could be something life-changing. So for them to have that courage to come forward is so huge. And I am glad that we do have those children that do find the courage to come forward. So I think in part that we have seen a rise, we see a rise because people are reporting it to us.
Let's talk about gaming systems, and we talked about Discord, but it seems like the days of putting in a cartridge or putting in a DVD and just playing the game is over. A lot of it is live action. You're in a group, you're in a chat room, you're in I guess you're in a room, and you play with people, and you've got a live map and everything's going on. Would y'all encourage parents to just sit in from time to time not necessarily sit there the whole time and listen to all the stuff that's going on, but just stop in and listen.
Definitely check in and see. And a lot of times I tell parents, depending on the age, and I'm not saying, you're 17, 18-year-old, but if you're allowing younger children to be online, have it in a more open area. So maybe a dining room, or if you have a desk set up in the corner of your living room. Because a lot of the times, the kids, they want to be in the bedroom, they close the door. And like I said earlier, you may pop in every once in a while, but I think to have it in kind of the communal space, it would hopefully put a little more awareness, or you're a little more just kind of what's going on. You can walk by, you can see, you can listen to what they're saying, instead of just leaving them in a room with just unlimited access to this game. So I think putting in a communal or open space is probably your best option for especially younger kids.
And I think, like you said, the gaming systems, it's not only through text messages, they can speak to each other back and forth. And then some of these applications that we talked about also have the feature like Snapchat where you can do disappearing messages now. So that's something we need to just remember, that a lot of your gaming apps do have messaging capabilities, and then there's some that allow you to make disappearing messages, which means right after you send it, it clears off your
And then of course we also
your
have
thread. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we also have the issue with swatting. It can become an issue, so it's not as sexual in nature, but there is that possibility that your child is playing against someone, that person gets upset that they have lost, and at that point they call 911 to say a crime is occurring at your home. So if you're able to hear the conversation, if it's getting heated, and your kid is arguing with someone, and you notice that, you can say, hey, what's going on, and maybe try to nip that before it starts. But that is something that occurs worldwide. You could be playing against someone in Australia, and they get upset. They call, report a crime. Next thing you know, law enforcement showing up at your door. So that's another reason I believe it's very important just to pay attention to what's going on, the conversations being had.
So you don't have to be a helicopter parent, but just being aware of what's happening in your home, what's
Right.
happening with your child goes such a long way, right?
Right.
Lauren, do you have anything to talk about that Harbor House is doing?
Anything to add?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I would just reiterate that if you hear this and it sparks some interest, concern, to reach out. Hopefully we have emphasized that we are here to support not just Harbor House law enforcement as well. These ladies do an amazing job. They are very knowledgeable in this field, and they want to help victims. And so we are all trying to take this victim-centered approach when we're talking about these sort of crimes.
All right, so we're checking the chat now to see if we have any questions. We've got a lot of folks in the chat room. Sean Dutton says, best captain ever.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll agree with that.
How much did you pay him to come in the chat room?
I didn't, believe it or not.
So you talked about a digital curfew, and that's taking devices, but just because you take a device, there are other things that are still capable of getting online, right? Even phones that don't have service anymore, other things, you can still get online and chat, right?
Yeah, if they have, a lot of times parents may forget about an old phone. It still has Wi-Fi capabilities. A lot of times friends will bring phones to friends at school that don't have a phone.
That's right.
Or if they get their phone taken up at home and, they're like, well, I have this old phone, they'll bring it. They may leave it at school in their locker, and they use it while they're at school. So definitely have to keep an eye on that. And of course, some of the ways of knowing that is if your kid is spending an extended amount of time in their room, but they don't have the usual devices that keeps them in their room. So just be aware that there are other devices, old tablets. Sometimes parents forget if a kid gets a new tablet, they forget about an old one that might still be hanging. So if they are giving their iPad or their new phone to mom and dad at night, but you forgot that grandma had gave them an old phone to play with a few years ago, Just try to be cautious of other electronic devices that might be in the home. Or like I said, if friends are sharing old devices with your kids. And like I said, it's not to be a helicopter parent or control everything they do. It's about safety. And one of the biggest things is just that unlimited access to the internet late at night. When kids should be sleeping, a lot of time that's where adults might be more inclined to reach out and try to make contact with children.
And what we also see is that it's not always just your teens or your preteens. We've seen very young children get manipulated and have gotten on these sites and taken videos or pictures and posted them publicly. So, I mean, I've seen as young as 5 and 6 year olds access these websites. Like specifically, I'm thinking about this Omegle.
Omegle, yeah.
So it's very important to start young to teach basic internet safety. If something makes you feel uncomfortable, make sure you let us know. Keeping that door of communication open is so important.
And I know there was an issue not long ago where predators was offering Fortnite money for children to send images of themselves. And a lot of the times, a young boy, I'll send you, $25 if you send me a picture of this. Well, they're thinking, well, that's $25. And it's not a big deal just to take this picture and send it. Especially when they're young, then that's something, that to be aware of. So I know that had been going on. That was an issue last year. It was a big issue. So let's hope, parents are paying a little bit of attention to that. If they're getting money or funds in an account that you don't know where it's coming from, it's definitely time to start a conversation and ask, well, where did this money come from?
So it sounds like if you're giving your child a phone and you're letting them online, it's time to go ahead and have that conversation. Mm-hmm. It's not inappropriate. It may be uncomfortable, but if you're going to allow them to go online, you're going to allow them to do things, it's important for them to at least have the rule book so they know what they're playing with, right? Mm-hmm. It's like driving a car. You ought to at least know how to change a tire. Yeah. I mean, it's not that basic. I mean, it's ridiculous to think that, but you're talking about somebody's image. And especially with the powerful things that AI is doing now and the ability to store things in thousands of places, it really becomes dangerous, right?
Yeah.
And not just, I don't think it needs to be one conversation and you're done, right? We have to sprinkle it in here and there just to make sure that we're getting that message across. And it doesn't have to be the same thing over and over either. We can talk about what to do if you are feeling uncomfortable one day, or if you get an inappropriate image, how can you report that? What should you do? It shouldn't just be a one time and you're done.
I know one thing my kids, and they may be watching, they hate is anytime something pops up in the news. Someone met someone on a dating app and something happened, I immediately say, we know, Mom, we know, but you can just ask them, has anyone ever reached out? Has anyone ever, and it could just be as quick as that. You're on your way to school. Has anyone ever requested an image of you? Has anyone that you don't know reached out? No. Okay. That's it. Talk about something else. Just check in and just keep it kind of an open conversation and let them know if someone is requesting this, it's okay, let me know. Or if you have made the mistake and you've sent an image because you trusted someone, not to say that's okay, but we can handle it. You're not in trouble. We can handle it. Let's discuss the process and the steps we need to do to get that taken care of. So just try to keep that open conversation with your kids.
So we've been going for quite a while. I want to apologize. I've got like a cold, so I've been like coughing like crazy.
So you just brought this cold to us.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming by. So we still have that link in the chat. If you want to look at that, it links to the NCMEC website. So we don't have any questions in the chat, but later on, if y'all think of anything, feel free to message us, message the county police, and they can try to let you know. anything that's going on. Yep. Amber.
I was gonna say, one thing a lot of people say is, I don't wanna bother 911. That's a big thing. I don't wanna bother 911. So you can just call and request a call back from an officer. You don't have to say, can an officer come out to my house? If you just wanna ask a question, you can call and ask for an officer to give you a call. I don't think a lot of people know that as an option. So an officer can give you a call, they can give you a little information, and maybe, but a lot of people don't want to bother. I don't want to bother because it's not an emergency, or that's the way they see it. It wasn't a car accident, or someone's not in immediate danger. So just know that that is an option.
And Lauren, what's the best way for folks to find Harbor House? You're online, right?
We are, yes, we have a website, and you can call us. We're available 24/7.
Okay. Any closing remarks from the police department?
No, just thank you for your time. Thank you for hosting this, and then also everybody that logged on and listened. We appreciate you guys, because that's what we need. We need community involvement to make sure our kids are safe.
Let's let me get a question. Kelly Cole, Kat's mom. She says, best camera girl ever. Also, she has a question. Have you found any internet monitoring apps that are good? And she says she heard a bark.
Bark is one that's big. It's out there. And if you have an iPhone, Apple Family, there are ways to monitor. So you can put a time limit. So if you don't want your kid to have access to the internet after 9 p.m., you can set time limits. You can put if they're allowed to download apps for certain age groups, if they can. You just have to go through. There's a lot. It'll say it prevents explicit language or sexual images. Just go through and look through Apple Family, and that's good. I'm sorry, I don't know much about Android, but there are a few apps, and there's a few things offered by some cell services. I know
Yes.
Verizon has like a parent app.
That's right.
And so you can talk to your cell phone provider and see if they offer anything.
Consuelo Maldonado says, y'all are doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Like I said, feel free to reach out to us in the chat or send us a message. So thank you all for being with us. Like I said, this is Safer Internet Day, so just be aware of what's going on online. Be aware of your kids and what they're doing. So thank you so much for being with us. Thank you to the county police. Y'all have a good night. Thank you so much.